Hello, and welcome to another episode of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. I am Rico, and I'd like to remind everyone that I am not a doctor, not a therapist, and I am not a medical professional in any way. Just a regular person trying to navigate through life and trying to navigate what's going on here. It's still a mess, but it's much better than it was. Much better than it was when I first started making these videos. I just want to have a better understanding of what's going on in here. And I do, but there's still a lot that I just don't get right now. So I want to get back to the topic of my second apartment. Just continue on from the last video, and things were pretty good at this place. I really enjoyed my time there. I really did. It was an awesome place. It was nice and big. I had room for all my stuff, but things were still difficult because of the way they treated me at work. It was unethical. It was just I was held to higher standards and was reprimanded over dumb things, while I got to watch others get treated like babies, treated like they were special with less than half the work I was doing. Now, you can talk to anybody else about this and they will deny it and they will pretend that that was not the case. But I was there. I did the work. I know what I was doing. I know what I'm capable of. And nobody else seemed to want to rise up to that level. But yet, for some reason, I was held at higher standards. So they could not do most of the stuff and it was okay. But if I didn't do a little bit of the stuff, then it was not okay. And I would get the reprimand, I would get the lecture, I would get the discipline. And they never really tried to communicate with me. They would just tell me, and then that was it. But I did make the best of my time in this apartment. It was quite fun. It was quite comfortable, and it was noisy at night, but it didn't bother me. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the place tremendously. I still kind of wish I was still there, but things change, and that's just how it is. Things change. This place was connected to my work. I didn't mention that previously. And it was used as a way of denying any more compensation. Like they would say, they would act like me having somewhere to live was in lieu of any kind of compensation or any kind of a raise. Like, oh, they're giving you a deal here, so you don't deserve that. And again, treated me like I should be grateful, like I should be thankful, like I should be, kissing their asses to exist. And I wasn't going to do that. And I don't do that anymore. I never again. And I didn't do it there. And I think I was treated differently because of that. And instead of appreciating my hard work, they would find things to not appreciate. They were like my parents. They couldn't be happy with anything. Anything. They had to find something that they weren't happy about and let me know it. And that was quite the case so often. If I was doing well, there was nothing. No attention, no communication, nothing. But if I messed up even a little bit, then it was the end of the world. And they would all tell me that it was the end of the world and I screwed up, and they would just take advantage and make sure that I knew how they felt. And I don't mean to talk down about anybody, but I worked harder and better than anybody in that company. I really did. But nobody wanted to consider it. Nobody wanted to see it. Nobody wanted to, acknowledge it at all. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Welcome back to This is Rico, trying to heal my inner child. Getting back to, I guess, my apartment and my work experience of the time. Um, while I had enjoyed that place so much, it always felt temporary, like they could take it away from me at any time. And this was the same with my position at work. Instead of just appreciate any of the work I did, they would treat me like if I didn't like it, I could go somewhere else, or treat me like whatever I did just wasn't good enough because they were going to find stuff to complain about and look for something to be mad about, or look for something to give me some kind of a lecture on. Even though I worked harder than anybody at that place, they felt the need to push me down, keep me down. It was easier for them. For some reason, the others were always protected. The others were always protected. If I said something about, and I wasn't mean or malicious about it. I would just ask, hey, can you talk to them and try to get them to do more of this or try to do more of that? It would really help. Nah, they didn't do any of that. But if one of them complained about something I was doing or not doing, then it was a big deal. And like I said before, they held me to higher standards, but they didn't really feel the need to hold anybody else to those standards, not even themselves. But for some reason, I was held to higher standards. And because I didn't work at 1000% perfection, then they didn't need to appreciate it because it wasn't perfect. And I saw them protect the others while I would get attacked for lesser things. I've seen really inappropriate behavior from others at their jobs. And they were all excused. For I want to go into detail, but I'm not going to because I don't want it to be too terribly obvious, but there were just things that people were doing and get caught. They got caught doing it. And it was for some reason, we'll let it go. But not with me. No, not with me. I would be reprimanded. I would be disciplined. I'd be talked to. But nobody really gave me the pass. I didn't get the free pass like they did. And my work life just became more and more unstable. Just like the feeling of my apartment. The more things got shaky, the scarier it got because I felt like at any time they could just pull the rug out from under me and I'd be stuck. And which is pretty much what happened. But to feel like that during that time, to feel like they're holding it over my head and I can't risk it because they're gonna do something. They're gonna kick me out or they're gonna let me go. It made it difficult to enjoy anything. It was discouraging. It was quite upsetting. When you have depression and anxiety, those things just seem to intensify inside your head, or more specifically inside my head. It was like looking at all that stuff with a microscope, a lot bigger than it should have been. And I tried to let it go. I tried to let it all go and enjoy my time, but it was difficult. And as much as I enjoyed my place and I could play my drums and play with my turntables and make as much noise as I wanted, I was scared. I was just scared and uncertain of the future. And it was quite discouraging to live that way. Always thinking they could just take it away at any time that they want. But I'm going to take another break. And I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Welcome back to This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Getting back to the topic of my apartment that was coupled with my place of employment. I mentioned before that I thoroughly enjoyed myself in this place. And as much as I could play my drums and as much as I could make as much noise as I wanted, as much as I could decorate this place as how I wanted, and as comfortable as I and my pets all were, as fun as all of that was, it was still threatened by the powers that be. It was still used as a tactic. I was always reminded that we could take this away from you at any time. I was always reminded that if you don't like it, you could go somewhere else. Instead of working with me, they would just rather just see me go. And I always felt like I was a quite an asset for the company, but they just didn't see it at all. They all treated me as a subordinate. And I get there's bosses and there's employees, but you don't have to treat somebody like they're beneath you. You don't have to treat them like they're your servant. You don't have to treat them like they're only there to do the things that you don't want to do. In fact, my boss would just stuff that he didn't feel like doing. I'm going to have you do this. I'm going to have you do that. And he would just push it on me because he didn't want to. He wanted to go sit at his desk and watch videos. And that's what he did. It's difficult when you got somebody who doesn't want to get up and want to do the things that you have to do to suddenly say, oh, you know what? You're going to do this as well. And you're going to do that too. When I would say, am I going to get paid more for it? We'll see how it goes. And I never worked out in my favor. It was just giving me more work for the same pay. And they would take advantage as much as they could because they could. For some reason, I was a subordinate. I was never seen as a peer. I was never afforded, any opportunities to voice my opinion or concerns. I was never afforded any opportunities to give my ideas. Not that I have a lot of ideas, but I did have some. But they didn't want to hear any of it because they want to take credit for everything. And they treated me like I was undeserving of respect and consideration. Things finally fell apart because I stood up for myself and I defended myself. And once I would do that, then it was a problem. They're telling me that I was just a lousy employee. And when I would tell them that I wasn't, they didn't want to hear it. They would rather argue and tell me that I was a bad employee. And because I defended myself, I was attacked from all directions. They just didn't want to deal anymore because they didn't want to deal anymore. It's easier with the others, I guess. And I was attacked from all directions. I felt like they were just treating me like this because they didn't want me around anymore. And when I addressed that, it just made things worse. And after a while, they terminated my employment, and that just severed all the relationships. I had friends there. I had some really good acquaintances there, but knowing how they truly felt about me and what they thought of me, I don't want anything to do with any of them ever again. Not a single person defended me. Not a single person stood up for me. Not a single person said, hey, wait a minute. Nothing. It was like they all enjoyed seeing me go. There was always talks of, well, the other employees say that you're difficult. Nobody ever said that to me. I got along with everyone great. You just would take one comment and turn it into, they all say that you're bad. They all say that you're difficult, which was a lie. It was a lie. And they know it. But they were the ones in power. They were the ones at the top. They were the ones calling the shots. So they were going to tell me how it was, even though that wasn't how it was. But I'm going to take another break, and I'll be back with the conclusion of this video of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Just going to conclude this video with this last segment and finish up the story of my last apartment and my last place of employment. I was terminated for standing up for myself, and not a single person defended me. And when I look back on all of that, jealousy was everything, and it was disguised as coexistence. I never got a good job. I never got a pat on the back. But I saw all of these others get that quite a bit. If I had gotten a fraction of the praise that they had gotten, I would have gone a lot farther. But somebody would get an attaboy just for existing. Someone was called the heart and soul of the kitchen because they were there. They weren't, but for some reason, you felt the need to coddle them and give them all the praise. And while I did all the work, and when I would mention it, you would act like I was out of line and being ridiculous. You never really considered my feelings on any of that. They never had the courtesy to communicate any of this stuff with me. It was easier for them to label me as difficult. And once my employment ended, so did my living situation, because I really could not afford to live there anymore. I wasn't going to find something right away. I knew it. I'm not to get down on myself so much, but I'm broken. I'm old. I'm tired. I can't stand on my feet for the whole day anymore. I have a hernia. I have a surgically repaired spine. I have arthritis in my neck. I have arthritis in my shoulders. I have one of my hips hurts all the time. I got sore knuckles. I am not 25 anymore. I can't do it anymore. But they really just seemed to enjoy ruining everything for me. They really did. They seemed to enjoy it. Nobody stood up. Nobody tried to help. And even the assistants that I got, they fought that and won. So once again, those at the top with all the power and the money win, and the little guy at the bottom loses extremely bad. Losing to the men with the power. All the little tiny minds and the insecurities, they all act a certain way just because they could. They don't appreciate anything. In fact, they did it to me. They would do it to everyone else in a heartbeat. There is no loyalty. They used to say, we're a family. And I would tell them, no, don't call it a family, because I don't get along with my family. I don't like my family. But the more and more I was there, the more it was like a family, the more that favoritism was thrown in there, the more of being treated like I didn't matter. But yet watching all these others get treated like they were just little golden beings. I had to call myself a golden god because nobody would give me any sort of praise. And then they acted like I was being arrogant because I did that, because I stood up for myself, and I had to hold myself up. And I did that. So I put all of my stuff in storage, most of it, and living with my boys. And that's just where I am. I have no money, and quite honestly, I'm absolutely scared of the future. But I have some things in the works, and I will not quit. Not yet. I have a long way to go. I have a lot to give. And quite honestly, I am not ready to just lay down and let life walk over me. Not anymore. I'm trying to make something of myself. I am trying to I am here bearing my soul to all of you because I felt the need to do this. Because I need to talk about these things and get them off of my chest and get them out of my soul and try to work through it rather than just letting it sit there and fester inside my heart, inside. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to live my life for me. I'm going to do the things that I love. And if things get difficult, that's just how they are. They are already difficult for me now. But being totally broke and somewhat homeless, staying in my boy's place, I'm happier than I was in the entire time I was at that place, working for those people. They didn't appreciate any of it. They didn't consider any of it. They didn't acknowledge any of it. But as long as they were up in front and as long as their faces were what was exposed, that was good enough for them. As long as they got all the credit. And, I don't want to deal with them anymore. I'm kind of glad things ended, even though I did enjoy working there from time to time. For the most part, it was exhausting. It was discouraging. And it was soul crushing. Soul crushing to work your hardest and to try your best. And it doesn't amount to anything at all. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know I'm better than that. I know that their tiny little minds just can't handle it. And it's easier for them to just throw shade than to throw appreciation. And it's discouraging. It's disheartening. But it's over. Now I'm in a position where I can just do things more for me and not for someone else. And I have options, and I'm still looking, and I'm still moving forward. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to quit. Not yet. I still have a lot of time, and I still have a lot to give. So I'm going to keep making these videos. I'm going to keep talking about my life. I'm going to keep talking about my feelings. I'm going to keep moving forward because that's all I can do. You can't go back. You can't go back to any of it. So, with that, I thank you again for watching. I thank you for existing. The world is a better place with you in it. And I appreciate each and every one of you. From the heart of my bottom, I thank you all. Please like, share, subscribe. Share these videos as much as you can. I just want to build a community of people that want to support each other and take care of each other rather than those that just want to tear each other down. Because I've had enough of that and we don't need that. Life is difficult enough as it is. We should try to make it a little more pleasant for each other, a little bit. Courtesy, consideration, understanding, those are things that are not impossible. It doesn't cost you anything to be nice to someone. It doesn't cost you anything to have a little consideration. And so I just wanted to say thank you all for your support. I want to thank you for watching and thank you for existing. The world is a better place with you in it. Please like, share, and subscribe. And all I want to do is just build a community of support, of communication, of understanding. And I just want us all to get along. Tearing each other down is not the way to be. The world is hard enough as it is. So please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back very soon with some more episodes of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Thank you for watching.